Hey guys, Grifton here, and today we are going to talk about Gurtogg Bloodboil in Black Temple. The reason I think this boss is important is I think he's the first real raid-wide test you get. Plus, druids excel at this fight, which is always a plus for me. This isn't just a tank and spank. Every class and or role has to do something and pay attention to the mechanics, and that is what really makes this a challenge at first. Once everyone understands the mechanics and what they need to do, it's relatively easy, but getting everyone to do their job will be the challenge, so let's break this down by phases. Phase 1. First, let's talk positioning. There are three main spots. There's the middle, which is actually more away than middle. There's the back or the water, and there's the tank position, which is opposite the back. The reason you need a back and a middle is because of this spell, Bloodboil. It's going to target the 5 furthest people from the boss, and it stacks so you don't always want the same people to get it. You want to organize 3 groups to take turns getting Bloodboil. Keep in mind this can be divine shielded or ice blocked out, so it might be smart to put mages in 2 groups and just ice block out of the debuff after getting both stacks, or use mages as backups on other groups if someone dies. You only ever want 1 group in the back, and as soon as they get the debuff, they move back to the middle. The fewer healers you have doing this, the better. You really want them focusing on healing. Now once the 5th Bloodboil is gone, you will want everyone to spread out. Range 10 might be smart here, and assigning groups which way to spread is also a good idea. We'll talk about this more in phase 2. Now let's talk tanking. You will want to face the boss away from everyone, including the other 2 tanks. You want your back to the wall in case he uses eject on you, and have the other tanks ready to temporarily take over if he uses Bewildering Strike, but then have them move back behind the boss as soon as the stun is over, because he also does Arcing Smash, which is essentially a cleave. Now the main tanking mechanic spell is Acidic Wound, which is a stacking debuff that for each stack reduces your armor by 500 and ticks for 250 damage. So paladins and warriors will want to switch after around 10 stacks, and druids after around 20 because the armor loss doesn't really hurt until they're down around 10k armor. There is no taunt, so if someone has too many stacks and needs to switch, you can either wait for eject or just have MDs ready to pump into the second threat tank and have the main tank stop doing damage. Because this is an armor dependent fight, it might be smart to use Elixir of Iron Skin as well as an Iron Shield potion to negate 6 of the stacks just through buffs. Now keep in mind that during phase 2, threat is halted, so you don't want to try the swap near the end of the phase, either right at the beginning or towards the 3rd Bloodboil. Whoever you have tank, you might want to make sure you have a priest healing the tank at all times to try to keep their armor buff up on the tank. It will help out quite a bit if they have high uptimes on it. Now assuming everything goes right, let's move on to phase 2. This is where you're going to see deaths at first due to people not listening or fully understanding the mechanics. The boss is going to randomly target a player, run to them, and give them a debuff called Fell Rage. It's going to make the target have higher health, higher armor, increased healing, and increase damage, so it's important that they definitely be doing something. Whoever is the target should not move at all. If healing is solid and they're a healer, they may want to still cast damage spells because 400% damage is crazy. Everyone else is going to get a debuff called Insignificant, which is what halts all other threat. Now this part is important. You cannot ice block if you are Fell Raged. You cannot try to divine shield this. If the Fell Rage target dies or gets removed from combat in any way, players are going to start getting one shot. On the PTR, we were able to bop the Fell Rage target, but I cannot guarantee this will work live, as many guides I've read said this wasn't allowed. If it stays this way live, however, you can use a bop on the targeted player to top them off and stabilize the early phase 2, and also allow them to pump early. Now the other thing that's going to kill people is Acid Geyser. At the end of phase 1, do not wait until phase 2. So at the end of phase 1, you will want to have everyone spread out and be at least 5 yards apart after the 5th Bloodboil goes out. There's plenty of room, so don't feel like you have to stay close enough to the boss once that Bloodboil's out. When phase 2 starts, whoever has Fell Rage will also have an Acid Geyser spawn at their feet, doing crazy damage to anyone within 5 yards. It's very important to spread out. On top of that, the Fell Rage target is going to get hit with an improved version of Arcing Smash, so melee will want to stay behind the boss too. The improved version not only does more damage, but also reduces healing taken by 50% for 6 seconds, so keep that in mind. If your Fell Rage target can survive that, it's pretty much a lock. At the end of phase 2, you will want to prep for your tank taking back over. Threat will not be reset, it will just continue going up, so you should know who will have him, and should have HOTS rolling before the phases switch. And that's everything. Just rinse and repeat and you get some great loot. Don't be discouraged if you guys wipe. If you lose 2 or 3 players early, it's likely a wipe because of Bloodboil. You can always run up the 2 ramps to the top of the zone and reset the boss like you see us doing, which I recommend doing early and often until you think you all have the mechanics down. It also might be a good idea for all players to be carrying the Iron Shield potions to pop on themselves in case they are targeted for Fel Rage. It will help. As for healers, this fight is a good one to bring an extra healer to if you are struggling, as it's very healer intensive. As a druid tank, this boss is actually a ton of fun, as we are great at tanking this guy. But that's it for Gurtogg Bloodboil. If you have any questions or any ideas on strategy that I didn't mention, please feel free to put it in the comments, and guys, check them out because sometimes they're really interesting. If you like this kind of content, feel free to like and subscribe. Check out other videos I have if you like, and as always guys, take care.